Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, our American empire is in decay. No other symbolic evidence could deeper impress upon me such a conclusion, as modern media's indisputable mirrored regression towards a superficial vogue tendency that marches mainstream society with every consistent lockstep towards a bleak future, lacking all remnants of moral decency or substance of character. There is a concerning trend in the world of modern movies, a decline in character building, arcs, and creative storylines. In an era dominated by special effects and visual spectacles, we are witnessing a shift away from the art of storytelling and the deep exploration of characters that once defined the cinematic experience. This trend not only affects the entertainment industry but also reflects a broader issue in our modern society, what I come to call a Flashpoint Intersect, illustrating bleak regressive decay to once foundational principles and values that were highly cherished in days of future past, reduced to almost no sign or sentiment in one abrupt flash. The Flash has a nagging paradox at its core. Its characters harp on the need to let go of the past, but the film is firmly tethered to images and characters from decades ago. Chief among these is Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne, who appeared in Tim Burton's Batman, 1989, and its sequel Batman Returns, 1992, and whose comeback ends up so lopsided that it fails to clear the low bar of mawkish sentimentality set by modern, multiverse-obsessed superhero films. The best that can be said for his appearance is that, since Keaton is still alive, it at least avoids the ghoulish depravity of reviving a dead actor for cheap nostalgia, which The Flash does numerous times. But since Warner Bros. Would rather we focused on Keaton's return than on Ezra Miller, whose troubling actions of late were barely acknowledged by the studio, we may as well take a page from their playbook and look to the Burton era ourselves, and how its half-baked transposition to The Flash helps kneecap the movie. To quote the commercial for Batman's VHS rollout, "Let's give them what they want." In the golden age of cinema, we were captivated by characters who underwent transformative journeys, who faced challenges and emerged as different individuals. These characters were relatable, flawed, and multi-dimensional, enabling us to connect with their experiences and emotions. We witnessed their growth, their triumphs, and their failures. Their stories had arcs that were meticulously crafted, taking us on an emotional roller coaster that left us inspired and introspective. On the other side of his time traveling, Barry realizes he's living out the events of 2013's Man of Steel and sets out to recruit the Justice League to thwart an alien invasion. Only instead of the Ben Affleck Batman with whom he's acquainted, he finds an older version of the character played by Keaton, albeit one with little ethos or edge, and little cause for both abandoning heroism, whose batsuits and empty mansion are a spitting recreation of their equivalents in the Burton's films. However, something about the texture of this revival feels distinctly off. On one hand, it serves as nostalgia for an audience who may be familiar with Keaton's Batman, but it has little impact for Barry and no bearing on his character arc, beyond the realization that things are different now. For the Flash, moving forward means undoing his own mother's resurrection, a potent dilemma, overshadowed by the movie's haphazard action, but it never involves leaving the idea of Tim Burton's Batman behind, since Barry has little attachment to this version of the character to begin with. In the process, the audience is never forced to confront their own attachment either. Despite the movie's central theme of letting go of the past, it's a theme with which Keaton's appearance, along with a parade of uncanny, CGI-assisted cameos for similar nostalgia bait, clashes wildly and uncomfortably. On the other hand, this version of Batman was also created by a specific artist, Tim Burton, but the character appears without the director's involvement, or any of his cinematic signatures. However, in recent years, it seems that character development has taken a backseat to flashy visuals and mindless action. We are bombarded with shallow, one-dimensional characters who lack depth and complexity. These characters often serve as mere plot devices, existing solely to propel the action forward without any meaningful growth or personal evolution. As a result, we are left feeling detached and uninvested in their stories, yearning for the depth and substance that was once synonymous with the cinematic experience. This decline in character building is not limited to the silver screen. It is reflective of a broader trend in our modern society. In an age defined by instant gratification and superficiality, we are losing sight of the value of personal growth and introspection. We are becoming a society that prioritizes external appearances and instant fame over genuine character development. We are more concerned with the number of likes on a social media post than the depth of our relationships or the impact of our actions. Moreover, the absence of creative storylines is contributing to this issue. We are witnessing a saturation of recycled plots and uninspired narratives, where originality takes a backseat to profit-driven formulas. We are deprived of the thrill of unexpected twists, the exploration of thought-provoking themes, and the excitement of original storytelling. Our collective imagination is being stifled, and our sense of wonder is being eroded by the repetitive and formulaic nature of many modern films. The formulaic, repetitious, robotic nature of modern media and film is unfortunately by design. Chomsky illustrated this best in his book, Manufacturing Consent. Propaganda is the instrument, and the narrative serves only to implement such a device. Resistance to this mass brainwashing scheme require constant unwavering vigilance, courageous dissident voice, and empowerment of industry filmmakers, who understand the importance of character building, arcs, and creative storylines, and the impact such art germinates to many imagination-starved young minds. Successfully taking these steps is the only sure way. We have hope to continue to ignite our imaginations, and challenge our preconceptions. These filmmakers understand that the heart of a compelling movie lies in the strength of its characters and the depth of their journeys. They remind us that storytelling is an art form, a powerful medium for exploring the human condition, provoking thought, and inspiring true change. As consumers of media, we have the power to demand more from the movies we watch. We can support independent filmmakers who strive to create meaningful stories rather than mindless entertainment. By seeking out films that prioritize character development, arcs, and creative narratives, we can send a message to the industry that these qualities matter to us as viewers, not nostalgia, familiarity, and civil obedience to authority or government. As I observed in the movie theater, how the Flash is flawed, I could not help but reminisce to the same situation we find ourselves precipitating, with regards to the duopoly political system, and democratic and Republican leadership such narratives and storytelling in a reliance to feed and service those far and few in between diehards of an audience. Bernie Sanders described as the 1%, even with succeeding at being an individual piece about an interesting character, it still feels obligated to cater to a particular audience. You can feel who the movie is made for. It probably helps that when pushing the buttons of nostalgia, it's Michael Keaton comfort food guiding us through this messy, multiversal mind whirl. But with all that being said, I can see why this film has fallen short at the box office. It's not just the fact that no matter how much DC films will try to redirect its course of action, there's a stale taste in our mouths when it comes to certain characters. The real box office killer is the film's leading man Ezra Miller. It's a real shame too, because he really knows this character. His performance is actually pretty great. He's consistently funny and surprisingly moving. But you can't deny that when you think of the actor. All that comes to mind is a lot of his off-set and in-public antics. He's certainly made headlines for all the wrong reasons as of late. But if you can put that aside for a couple of hours and immerse yourself in the movie, you should feel mostly satisfied. It's always going to be hard to please everyone when telling stories in this genre. And it doesn't matter the form. It can be films, television, books, and comics. Fans become so attached to a character or an idea of a character, something that touched their heart or soul and helped them navigate their formative years. They will never forgive you if you betray their trust. These characters are special to many, and they will always love them most. They have always loved them first. It's easy to understand why Ezra Miller portraying Barry Allen to begin with would automatically betray lifelong fans of the character. From a structural standpoint, I can't find a real lull. The pacing is solid and the stakes are high. However, there's a real misstep when it comes to character depth in certain cases. There's no denying that Iris West continues to be underutilized, as well as the mishandling of Barry's personal life. We spend very little time with him in this space before the movie takes off. Instead, this time is spent placating to the DC stans and comic nerds who would love to see Barry and his fellow Justice League partners kick ass in a chaotic opening sequence. For the regular audience member, there's nothing fresh about seeing more of the same repetitiveness in superhero films. The team-up trope is going to be part of the film, it's clear from the marketing. Do we need Barry to always exist as an extension of others? Wouldn't it have been better to explore the individuality of the character and perhaps his inability to cope with the regularness of life, while juggling the responsibilities of a super purpose? I can't help but feel like some more time spent with Barry in his personal life would have been rewarding. Especially when you consider his story becomes about responsibility and purpose. A young man who doesn't lead and who struggles to handle the weight of his destiny. Exploring this would have only heightened his overall arc, seeing that he both figuratively and literally has to teach himself to grow up, and even put together and lead a team of his own. The audience would have respected the journey getting to these tropes that much more. Aside from Michael Keaton's Batman, who we feel like we've known for years, Kara is thrown at us very quickly and too close to the third act. Even though she's a strong character, we spend little time with her. It's also becoming common for studios to kill their darlings on a regular basis. It's the same problem I had with Multiverse of Madness. How can we feel like Batman and Supergirl have agency when they are used as a plot device to get Barry where he needs to go? We spend no time with Kara. And then on top of that, she dies, more than once. With all this being said, the film doesn't fail to develop Barry and complete his arc. The real depth of the character comes from his motivation. Once the inciting action, a can of tomatoes, happens, we get things rolling on a non-stop trip to Barry's ultimate destination. The film's main point of emphasis is personal and universal. A boy would do almost anything to bring back a mother he'd lost. However, along the way, the enrichment of personal investment towards every other character is lost, obliterated, as a sacrifice to serve but one arching narrative. And there, amidst insidious motivation, comprehensively manufactured societal decline of humanity can be acutely observed, espied from those that routinely practice critical detection stemmed from being free-thinking, innovative, and open-minded. In conclusion, I must warily reiterate that the decline in character building, arcs, and creative storylines in modern movies is a concerning trend that reflects a broader issue. In our society, we must recognize the value of deep storytelling, relatable characters, and transformative journeys. Let us demand more from the movies we watch. Let us insist on government that works in service if we the people, by the people, and for the people has proven the most effective prescription for promoting the general welfare that might usher in a more perfect union. In the grand scheme of our culture, this regression of character, substance and pilot arc illustrate bleakly our society sinking further towards a total values and principles collapse. We find ourselves no longer practicing the empathetic endeavors or acknowledging the inalienable rights vital to understanding our humanity, society and collective similarities as individuals.